So I've got something stupid to report. 6 Bike Garage is named because 6 is the maximum practical number of bikes I can have in the garage and still be able to comfortably get anything done. Now, there's currently 7 bikes in the garage because I'm working on that BMW. So what's the stupidest thing I could do? You might say, add another bike. Well, actually, I'm adding 2, which may not be the wisest thing in the world. So I'm back home with my bad idea. And my bad idea was 2 bikes from 1982. One is a CX500 and the other is a GL500. And they're both in pretty rough shape. And I don't know how bad it's going to be. And I don't have the best light out right now. But I'll have to explore these in the near future. And you're going to find out what a bad idea this has been with me. I got one unloaded. It did not have a rear wheel attached. The rear wheel came with it, but so I found an old axle in the garage that had the right diameter so I could throw it in there. And then it has no suspension, so I had to block a piece of wood in there to keep it from collapsing completely while I pulled it out. But yeah, that's one bad idea. Now I got to figure out some handlebars to get the other one out. And that's number 2 unloaded. Had to find a spare set of handlebars, but they wouldn't really clamp down tight because the forks are raised so high. And I noticed this little frightening detail. No oil plug. So, definitely got my work cut out for me. Last thing to unload is the other motor. And there is my other motor. At least this one has an oil cap. But, this looks like it's potentially a pretty big mistake overall. But we'll see what happens. Got some daylight now, so I get to start assessing what I've got. I'm gonna go pull the one without the motor in it into the garage so I can start taking off some of the dangly bits and store those just to arrest a certain amount of decay and start giving that a walkthrough. You can see my 2x4 suspension to keep the rear end from collapsing. I think that tack cable's gonna be good enough. Instruments look like they're actually okay. There's only 13,000 miles on it. Got some rusty bolts on the back. I'm not sure what this was. I think maybe some sort of a hard to tell in the shot here. Some sort of relay. sucker's on there tight. There it goes. JIS impact screwdriver. Can't recommend it enough when working on Japanese bikes. You may have noticed that the front brake is locked up too, so I'm just going to remove the caliper from the wheel to make it easier to move this around as necessary. So I stripped the front end off this thing, including the brakes, and then I can roll it around a little easier. I took off the rear brake linkage so it would get out of the way. This is where I had my 2x4 rear suspension. I think I'm going to try and get something in there that's a little bit more attached. Got a lot of rust, a lot of corrosion. Not sure what that spring is supposed to be for, maybe for the rear brake. Yeah, yuck. My crude and simple solution to the lack of rear suspension was to just cut a notch in this 2x4. That way, if I lift the back end, it still falls down, keeps the end from collapsing, and I can roll it behind the garage where it'll live for a while. The last thing I do before I push it behind the garage is give the whole thing a spray down with WD-40 to inhibit any further corrosion while it's waiting for me. So these are the two gas tanks that came with, and they actually look like they're in pretty decent shape. There's no dents, some chipped paint, but yeah, they look like they're in pretty good shape overall. The key was in the red one. So let's see if it actually, oh, it does open too. Cool. Probably doesn't work in both of them. Nope. All right, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about that one. But yeah, underneath doesn't look too bad in these things. They're in good shape. Motor, on the other hand, is a little bit frightening. And since there was no, you can see water on the valves. That's not good. Ick. All right, it looks like it's just that one primarily, but this one's got the dipstick in it. Exhaust valves. Huh. I'm gonna try and strip a few things off this one and lower the forks too, so I can actually attach the handlebar better. But the most alarming thing I noticed on this one the other day was the fact that it didn't have an oil filler. I can't really see too much in there, but it doesn't look like there's any oil in there. Wonder if I'm seeing water. Ick. I believe this is the CDI unit, but look at the bottom of the thing. Yuck. I don't think that's going to be any good. Yikes. The more I look, the more alarming this looks. But I think the last thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to take anything else off. Well, maybe the horn. And then I'm going to lower the the front tires so that I can get some handlebars tightened on there. The issue with the forks was that they weren't level. The bolts were missing or loose, and they were locked in place. I had to fight a lot harder than I wanted, but I finally got them pushed down and leveled out. So last night, I got these both tucked out behind the garage. Before I try and get them covered up and protected, I am going to pull the drain plug since, as we mentioned, there's no oil cap here and I can't quite see what's in there. It looks like it's dry at the bottom, but I'm going to pull the drain plug and see what comes out. And nothing. All right, it is pretty dry in there. I'm gonna find something to cover this up and then tuck it in. It's probably gonna be a while before I do much with the Hondas. I need to get the R75 wrapped up and out of the garage. I've got the tail pieces painted and that's ready for final assembly, so it's just about done. I'm hoping to get the motor into the little Harley this weekend, and maybe I'll hear it start for the first time too. That would be exciting. Then I need to get back to the Katana, and I want to give my daily ride some scheduled maintenance. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, consider throwing me a bit of support, or maybe some size 10 shop shoes. Cheers! Thanks for watching.